Hello everybody, welcome to Artisan School. Artisan School is a project in which I guide you through the entire Laravel documentation and also giving you some practical examples. And before you can get started with Laravel, you need a development environment, and that can be macOS, Linux, or Windows. And for this video, I'm going to show you how to use Laravel Sail on Windows 11. Laravel Sail is Laravel's default Docker environment. I'm using the latest development version of Windows 11, but it also works on Windows 10. The process is exactly the same, so don't worry about that if you're using Windows 10. So what we are going to do is install the Windows Subsystem for Linux, which is a way to get a Linux environment on your Windows system. We're going to install Docker. And then we're going through the Laravel documentation, the first section, the installation guide, and then specifically this section, getting started on Windows. And like I said, we're going to use Laravel Sail, so I've also opened the Laravel Sail documentation. So let's get started. Let's get started by installing WSL2 on the system. I will open a Windows terminal as administrator. And then from the documentation, I will copy the first step to the terminal. And that command will install the Windows Subsystem for Linux. When that's finished, we are skipping the second step from the documentation, which is just a check. So we're copying the third step, which enables the virtual machine feature. So let's do that. And then lastly, let's copy the fifth step, which sets the default version to 2. And then I'm going to open the Microsoft Store because we need to install Ubuntu. So let's search for Ubuntu. And I will grab the LTS, the long-term support version. You can click on the free button at the top right. And then you need to log in to your Microsoft account, which I'm going to do right now, but we'll skip this section for privacy reasons, of course. After logging in, it will download Ubuntu and it will also install it. Let's hit open and then it will install some additional things. And after the installation, it will ask for a Unix username. So I'm just going to type in my name and give it my password twice. And then we are in the Ubuntu shell, which was quite easy to do so. So let's close this terminal screen and we're going to navigate to the Docker website. Let's see, get Docker. Yep, I will accept the cookies. And then hit the download for Windows button. So it's downloading the desktop installer. Let's run it. So it's downloading some packages and then make sure the top checkbox is checked. The required Windows components for WSL2. And it has been succeeded. So we need to close this installer and log out the Windows session. And when we come back, we need to accept the terms, which I will do. And here it is, starting the Docker engine. And then we are presented with a tutorial, which I'm going to skip for now. Let's dive into the settings. Get rid of this tip of the week thing. And let's go to resources, which is the second item on the left menu. And then we choose WSL integration. Here you can see the Ubuntu distro that we installed. And let's enable it and hit apply. Now we can close the settings and let's see if Docker is really working. I'm gonna grab this command, which has this getting started image. Let's open the terminal. And as you can see, at the top bar, there's now this little arrow button and we can open an Ubuntu shell. And in this shell, I am gonna paste the Docker command, which will pull the image from the Docker registry. I will allow access to the Windows Defender firewall. And let's go to the browser. Let's see if this thing really works. So I will go to localhost. And here we are. The getting started Docker image is up and running. This seemed to work fine. Let's continue with our fresh Laravel installation. So I'm going to close the browser. Let's go back to the Docker desktop application and remove the Docker container that we just started. Let's hit delete and then remove, and there it goes. So back in the terminal, I am in the Windows home directory. You can see my username right there. And let's see what's in there. You can see the desktop, documents, downloads, you name it. And instead of working in the Windows home directory, I will cd into the Linux environment, into my Linux home directory. So when I type the pwd command, which stands for print working directory, you can see the home folder. So let's go to the Laravel documentation and grab this command, which is gonna create a new Laravel project. So in my home directory, I'm gonna create a code directory, and let's cd into that and paste the command. And now it's gonna install a fresh Laravel project on Windows using Docker. At the end, it asks for my sudo password so it can set some permissions. And then it says, thank you. Here's a new command to dive into your project directory and to spin up the actual Docker container. And then it starts booting up all these images. So the MySQL images, the Laravel web server, PHP, you name it. So let's go to the browser. Let's go to localhost again, and let's see if it works. Here it is. Here is our fresh Laravel installation using Docker, using Laravel Sail. So what if we want to run an Artisan command, which is the CLI for Laravel? Let's open a new Ubuntu shell. Let's go into that code directory, code example app, and then you can run vendor bin Sail and then Artisan. So this works great, but I don't want to type vendor bin Sail every time I need to do something with my app. So luckily there is an alias for that. Let's go back to the Laravel documentation and search for Sail. And then halfway through the documentation, here there's an alias. I will copy that alias and go back to the terminal. And then I will create a file called .bash aliases. I do it with Nano, but you can do it with whatever editor you want. Paste it in, save the file. And then when you open a new terminal and you go into that project directory, called example app, then you can use Sail Artisan instead of vendor bin Sail. So that will save you some keystrokes. On the Visual Studio Code website, we can download the latest version for Windows. And then we can run the installer, which is pretty straightforward. And let's create a desktop icon and the context menu actions. So I don't want to launch Visual Studio Code right now, but let's go back to the terminal. And from here you can enter code dot, hit enter, and then it will open Visual Studio Code in our example app project. So for example, we can open the web.php routes file. So where is this Ubuntu home directory located? If you navigate to that home directory and you type in explorer dot and you hit enter, it will open the Windows Explorer in your user home directory. And there you can find the example app that we just created.